Hello everyone. So in this video, I'm going to demo the drawcut feature of Creative Flow, which you might have seen in my recent YouTube shorts. And those are mainly made using Creative Flow, and part of it was, or also Random Flow with the random offset feature or a new operator. So I'm just going to demonstrate it on a simple box model. So in the update, there's going to be a new toggle here in the settings that lets you reset the cut through in the draw cut function. So this will cause the draw cut to set to false every time you use the operator. So for example, right now, if I activate the cut through using the T hat key and draw, this will of course enable the edge cuts to cut through the mesh, as you can see here. And every time you use the operation, the cut through will always be on. So sometimes it's not really ideal to use it for solid meshes without symmetry because it can, if you forget that cut through is on, it can, you are, for example, having fun drawing on this side and you didn't realize that cut through is on and you've been cutting through the other side of your model. Um, so I kind of disconnected there. Okay, draw cuts. And I just use random offset afterwards. So extrude. So for this, I make sure that the edges concerned, especially in the inset faces, are sharp. So for example, if I scale this and none of them goes to sharp, I will have to readjust it. Just so in case if I import import it or export it to another 3D app, these edges will always be sharp there also. So for example, shade smooth. So those edges that will not be sharp. So and get sharp and mark sharp. Okay. So this is called the non-sub D workflow, and you get the rounded edges using bevel. Whereas in sub D workflow, you get the rounded edges using the subdivision modifier plus the supporting edges. Include small, and here, so the selected faces will limit the draw cut. So for example, here, it only cuts the selected face. Include. So after the update, I will do more live streams about this feature workflow. And this is really good for really angular models for fast iterations. You can like build up your own library of assets. Make sure that cut through is on. I used to have colored UI, but I just removed it and settled for monochrome just to make everything flat and not really stylish. Okay, and intrude. Okay, so the update will be passed soon, and I'm just really waiting for some bugs to show up. But there's really nothing more to fix, so I will be updating soon. So watch out for that. Also, another change that will be coming in the update is the way that array works. So from before, you're limited to the margin. So for example, if I rotate this and start an array and press I to rotate individual. So from before, there will be no overlap. There's a certain margin limit and you can't really go past it. So for example, and it's based off the dimension of the array object. So for example, for this one, this will be the limit and you can never go past this. So I've removed those limits so you can actually go past it. But just avoid overlap because that will cause errors in the cuts or in the Boolean operation. But this will of course make it better. That the margin limit will be removed, making you do stuff like that or arrays like that pretty easily. Circle segments, um, control D, control D. So eight's just 8, and then inset small. You can of course generate your own preset using the plus icon and then naming that. But if the update instruction tells you to update the presets, don't delete the presets that you have made, and just copy paste the new preset folder, and it will overwrite the old files but not the preset that you have made. So let's redirect this. There we go. And also this one. So this is how I modeled those spaceships as well. And also the gun models. So how do you randomize this? It's because random flow only works um, with quad faces, and there's a way to do that using random flow or creative flow. Okay, random offset, intrude. So for example, if I want to create like randomized panel cuts in this area here, can either select this face and quad slice, tangent, and then probably put your one here to merge the vertices. Okay, so and then add edge loops, select the area again, and then you can use run panels. So for example, floater mesh, might have to also change the preset value for this because there's too much offset. It should be like that. Okay, and you can of course play around with the randomized or random seed rather. And of course with the new update you have this awesome new feature in seed clear where the panel islands are merged instead of being removed, allowing you to generate less noise in the details. So once you have done that and you have settled with the randomization on that part, you can of course go in And then to make sure that the border edges are also limit dissolved, Control plus, and then X, and then limit dissolve to bring back the ingun structure. Okay, let's just delete this. Or you can also use, besides quad slice, because sometimes this depends on the structure, the surrounding structure of the selected faces. If that doesn't work, you can use grid project, and we'll project like quad grid on those faces. Uh, so the update will be soon. The only thing missing is me prepping the presets, fixing the presets, but the add-ons are all zipped and packed. After the update, I will be fixing the online documentation because it doesn't match up with the most of the add-ons. And then more updates. So I don't really see a lot of YouTube channels doing this kind of modeling. Probably because they are afraid of the Ingun police or something like that. But I saw some, especially there's a guy that modeled the gun in 3D as mask, doing this kind of workflow, and I don't know. Most just do sub D. Okay, so this part is good. I want to go to this part here. Selecting these faces, and I'm going to do an array, pressing Z to match them up. Oops. So the disadvantage of this is that you don't have. Ooh, there's no down. There's no shift down apparently. So I have to fix that. You have to wait. Up. How about up? No, there's no shift down. So it's not a bug. That's me forgetting to place the hotkey. Okay. So you just have to eyeball the placement when it comes to symmetry because the drawing function relies on the view and not any grid stuff. Okay. Probably just some minor details. Intrude small. Good thing about in-guns is that you can just move it when you're facing the plane. You can move it. This is not possible with quads because you have to take good care about the quad structure. The surrounding quad structures, you have to watch out for that. Okay. And to fix this, it's easy to fix this. Just select the bottom face, Control plus, and then F, and then go to edge mode, edge select mode using number 2, and then Control X. You can have margin, You can face the selected face using E. Shift C to bring the cursor there, and then when you're drawing the cut, Shift G to lock it on in place of this. And then just do the oops intrude. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put another handle here. Probably not uh probably not do it that way, but add intersect object point one. So I think this is a much faster way of creating the handle using with the Angular model. And this is also with Creative Flow. So that's why I said that Creative Flow is like jack of all trades but master of none. It really doesn't have any specialty, but it's a collection of functionalities that can make your life easier. Union and exact. Okay. Now we have to make these edges sharp. Get sharp. Okay. And probably bevel this. So this is not going to be carried by hand. This is like where straps will go to carry this because this is heavy. Well, at least that's my story for for it. Okay. So S to go to segments, W to go to offset or width, and then oops, and then press S to go to segments. Reduce the segments using WSAD. I mean A and D. There's no WS because there's no up and down to change the value. And then press space to confirm, and we can just use random offset. And then repeat the pattern that we've been making. So the triangles pattern, these things are pattern also. So this is one of the few tenets of modeling in the early days before ZBrush. You like you when it comes to design, you just repeat the patterns and anywhere. So intrude and scale is like that. And also go like this. Nope. If you don't like it, just undo it. I think we should have a holiday for the date that undo was made or invented. Let me just manually scale this. Okay, one last bit is this part. Extrude and there we go. Intrude. And then this part. What do I do with this? Another. And intrude. Extrude. There we go. Okay. The some sort of locking mechanism. And I'm going to use the intersect function. Add intersect object. So there are many ways you can do a lot of with this add-on, not just Boolean, and it kind of gets confused with backscatter and hard ops, and this is not those. Extrude and give it some margin. Probably extrude it or intrude it. Shift C, Shift G, extrude. Okay, now select this and this. And what this does is seek out the alien objects from the active object and um, make use them as the intersect faces. Union, Shift Z, make sure that okay, exact. Okay. Oh, one last thing. Our pattern. Oops. Intrude small. Oh, intrude small. There we go. Our box. And let's make sure that everything is sharp. Get sharp and then F9, mark sharp. And can Control T to triangulate and apply the mirror. Oops. Apply the mirror. And there is your mesh. Do not be alarmed. Do not be alarmed with the triangular structure. It's just there to, of course, um, since the render agent is going to triangulate it anyway. This is a good practice because if you triangulate and you see like errors in the shading, then you can go in and restructure the triangulation to avoid those shading errors. Versus with this, you won't see those. You won't see those until the render. So when you triangulate, you can see those shading errors. Then you can fix it manually. Because uh, the render engine will triangulate it with its own algorithm, and it's not going to change anything. So you might see occasionally some shading errors because of the way the triangulation worked for that particular render engine. Okay, and we have this. You see this? That's what I'm talking about. Shading error right there. I wonder what's causing that. And if we remove limit dissolve, there's nothing there. If we triangulate, there's something there. Okay. Let's try and get sharp again. Still there. Probably because of this. This one here. Nope. Control E and rotate. There we go. It's gone. Oh no. Yeah. Sana ba? You. Oh! I think that we found the culprit. This is not. There we go. There's a zero face area. A zero area face. here. So what I'm going to do is slide it here. Double AS to subdivide and get that vert, and then align it here. Active element and scale it into z-axis. Press 0, and then get this and select this. Merge to the last, and the shading error is gone, but there's this part here. That's the symmetry. So we need to symmetrize. There we go. Everything's fixed. So that's what I'm talking about. If you had that rendered, those depending on this on the material that you're using, those shading errors will actually show up. That's why you triangulate, I think. Okay, so in the next update, there will be another new operator in the materials that will let you assign materials based on the vertex color. Okay, random vertex color and no saturation. Use sharp. This is based on sharpness, and you might have to just repair all this, but this is a start. So for example, this one is going to be tricky. You have to you have to select it. There's not going to be any AI that lets you select this, so you have to select this manually. And then vertex color, pick a color. Then we have to fix the top part. Actually, we can actually probably do this, and then Control Shift Plus. There we go. It stopped here, probably because there's a double right there. So I'm not gonna fix that. There's a double right here. That's why it's not continuing. And pick color. Okay. So you just, when it comes to this kind of structure, you just fix it, and then I'm going to save this as create 1237, and then Shift Q, extra shading up in materials, and then let's just use the Airflow metal and fast HDRI for fast lighting. Okay. Change this with the vertex color that we've made. That's going to be named vertex color, named made. And then since it's just black and white, gradations of black and white, we'll just use color ramp to affect the strength. There we go. Now we're going to fix these dudes. 0.01 and min max. Fix the min max value. By the way, you can plug a texture in the radius. If you have a scratch texture, you can plug it in the radius to get the scratch shape. And then you have to turn the, to make the texture do all the work, you have to turn the min max values to 0, or probably 1. Yeah, 1. Min max to 1 to not to avoid making the noise parameter affect the texture. Okay. Okay, just a few more. So peaks and then valleys. Oh, there's the what in the double? You can see there we go. There's another double here. Let's just fix it. WS last. Is it correct? No, it's not. Okay. So you can also change the bevel to the bevel node 0.01, and let's just fix the cavity mask a bit more. There we go. So now you have your grunged up great model. Okay, let's try and let's just leave the mirror. Let's try and stack them up. So they're so light that you can make like 100,000 of this, and probably not 100,000, probably just by 10,000, and Blender won't even flinch. So a long time ago, Blender will flinch because I was using Blender when it still doesn't have ingons. It only has quads and tries. So you can't make ingons. that's how that's how old Blender is. It's like the Jurassic Age. So random transform and randomize in the z-axis rotation location. Okay, so after this, you can just play around with the seed value. And if you see a pattern that you like, but there's an overlap, you can just fix the overlap yourself. And I'm going to tell you a trick with the movement. So when you're moving it like this, it will move it in the XYZ axis and create an overlap. And if you want to limit it on this plane here, the Z axis or the floor, the Z axis here, when you're moving it in this view angle, for example, press Shift Z to just move it in the XY axis and not move it in the Z axis. This is pretty helpful if you're just moving things around and you want it to stick to a floor or a plane. So you can do that. Okay, so there you go. So if I wasn't explaining things, I would have uh, made this much faster. But yeah, I want you to use this workflow, and when I pass the updates in the coming days, I will do more live streams explaining this stuff more, so you can actually use this. and make it more or make it popular. So everyone's really crazy about quads even these days. So I do model with quads. I model with everything. Subdivision. I know how to model those stuff or use those workflow. Subdivision, the supporting edges, all the stuff to quadify, and all the stuff to manage the direction of the quads. I know all the stuff. I know because I modeled with quads way before I modeled with incons. Okay, so that's it. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, use the comment section below or the links in the description. And again, stores and Patreon links in the description. Uh, Thank you for watching, and you have a nice day.